Good morning and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Talk. Today, we're bringing back our panel from earlier. If you watched one of our earlier episodes, we took on music. We said, okay, what are some songs that need to be removed from being played in public? And we talked about when we finished that episode that we would come back in December and take on Christmas music. And Christmas music has a whole different level of overplayed and being used too much. So yeah, this one should be some fun, and we have John Westhoff is going to be joining us in a little bit. He's en route, so he will be coming in. So yes, we're going to be flinging Christmas carols, getting rid of Christmas music in the same way that we did with overplayed pop music and rock music last time. So yeah, I think there's people have deeper dislike for Christmas music because you walk into every grocery store, every shopping mall, and you hear the same, section of songs over and over again, and you become very sick of them. The Mariah Carey joke's always there, but I think there's plenty more beyond her that get overplayed.
Right.
Just
Thanks for saying that. Right, we want a little bit of nostalgia, but how much? Where is the line?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be interested to hear you guys' answers today.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start with introductions today. So Dash, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Dash Hooper. You guys have seen me from our Wednesday night show. Probably most of you have seen us from First Impressions, but I am aspiring author. Hopefully one day a great author. We'll see how that goes. But that's pretty much it. You can find me at YouTube. I do a lot of pop culture, things like that. So go over there, do reviews and things for pop culture, books, movies, you name it.
All right. And Timothy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ed. My name's Timothy Fling. I'm a writer and kind of a podcaster now these days. I'm from York, Pennsylvania. I like the format that you're doing here. I like Dash's format. I like podcasts that have what I call curated topics. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And I thought this was a great one, to be honest with you. I almost did this one myself, but I switched so you wouldn't think I was stealing your idea. But I think that there's kind of a deeper question, and this is both you guys have done a good job with this. Welcome, John.
Hey.
And that is to say, what is the line for nostalgia? Because I think I'm on both sides of this argument. I like to hear a song from the 60s and it's got Darlene Love but on the other hand, Mariah Carey, it makes me want to blow my brains out. It's not, is it because Mariah Carey's not a good singer? No, that's not why. She's
got a spectacular voice,
wonderful song, the whole bit. So it's something to do with this line that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. All right, so John, just in time, tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh, muted.
You got your mute button on.
I am John. I don't know how to work a microphone. I am the writer, letter, publisher for Part Time Comics. You've probably heard me on this show and Tim's show and 100 other shows. So who cares? You know who I am, and I'm here to talk about Christmas holiday music.
Yes.
Great to see you, John. It's been a while for you and I.
Thank you, everyone, for coming back. I appreciate you coming to take on Christmas music now. We took on regular music before, so appreciate having you guys back on the show. So just like last time, we set it up in categories. So the first category that we go with, and this is going to be interesting because we already know Tim wants to blow his brains out to Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. And Mariah is thawed and in the world. I mean, it's funny, the whole Mariah Carey joke. And I know like November 2nd, she was playing right by my house. I'm like, oh, she's out. The world is being forced into the Mariah Carey song. She thawed, and here she comes. So, all right, let's do it. You can name more than one song. So if when you tell us your first one, if you want to come back and remove another one because you hate it, there is no limit. So, Dash, give us, what song are you taking out of being played in public because you just hate it?
Okay, I've got my top three, plus I have to, like I told you, I have to add my daughters in there because my daughter felt like she needed to have a say in today's show. So I have three. I know I could have top 25, probably top 30. I'm not even lying. But any iteration of Santa Baby needs to go. Say, I don't care if it's Eartha Kitt, I don't care if it's Madonna, I don't care who's singing it. Santa Baby, gone, go. I'm tired of hearing it. They try to put the little spiel on their accent, if you will, and try to get the really Betty Boopish. I don't know, Betty. That's what comes to my mind.
That's how the Madonna one sounds to me.
Yeah, I get it.
Number 2 is the Jackson 5. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Okay.
See now I would fight him on that one. That's
all right,
on my list.
So you're gonna save that one.
Yeah.
All right, so that's good because in the end we get our chance to save. So,
Nice.
But here
that one might be getting redemption in the end.
Sweet. Good to hear.
That one is overplayed here in Oklahoma for some reason. Like when I was, when I was in the military, you never heard that one as much. As soon as I got back home, that's like every radio station, no matter what, plays that one. So it's overplayed here. So I can understand why you would save it, but for me, here in Oklahoma, gone.
It's the level of overplay that's getting it knocked out.
And then, and then simply having a wonderful Christmas time again.
See, that was mine.
Is overplayed.
That Paul McCartney
on
one,
every radio station.
That is such a. I hear that song, and I think that song just reeks of cash grab to me. Where you hear it, it's got no rhythm. It's like just an ugly synthesizer riff and kind of these just kind of loopy, repetitive lyrics. And it is.
I kind of came around to that one because it's so the sound is just so bad. It's just so of that time that now I kind of like it.
I've heard covers of it. I think Weezer does a cover of it that's got a little bit.
Weezer does a good cover of it. But
in the end, it's still just a kind of a really basic, uninspiring song. And I'm with you. That was on one of the ones on my list as well. So I can see why it could grow on you, but for me, it's just that I hear that pew pew pew, and I'm done. I'm like, turn the station. If I'm in the grocery store, like, okay, tune it out. Think of something else. All right, so John, what's one that you're taking out because you hate it?
Well, I got one more. I don't want to jump on John.
The hater in the house has a whole list here.
My daughter.
Even though he got a Christmas hat on,
like Christmas
hat on, and he's.
I got it. I got to do my daughter, or she'll be my daughter's request, or she'll be mad at me. And much to the chagrin of my wife is Mexican, so I kind of think you guys know where this song is going. My daughter would like to get rid of Feliz Navidad.
Oh, no kidding.
Okay,
man, a whole house of haters.
See,
now that's only because 5 minutes probably before the show came on. That's because 5 minutes before the show came on, she heard the commercial and she wanted me to put it on there. But no,
she's like, no, you know what, Dad, I'm done with that song. But see, she comes by it naturally. You're like, no, these Christmas songs must die, and you're breeding a daughter who will also destroy Christmas music. And I guess that's okay. So, John, it's your turn to destroy Christmas songs. And Dash has killed a lot already. So what's left? What are you going to take out?
I'm going the opposite way. I love me some holiday music. I'm not a religious person, but give me all the religious songs. I don't know why. It's just that this time of year has always been a joyous time for me and my family. So I just can't help but the nostalgia gets me. Like I said, even some of the cornier ones have grown on me over the years. So my first thought was Christmas War is Over by John Lennon, just because it's so depressing.
Right.
But then I like it because of that, because it's so,
And then you have the portion of Yoko screeching in the background at points where you're like, ooh, yeah, you just hear that like that dying dog sound in the background. No, that's just his wife.
And the irony of he's making a song, but just like he took the pictures in bed, and then his housekeeper comes and makes the bed for him while they get it. So there's a lot of irony in what John Lennon did.
I can definitely hear that.
But I still can't eliminate it. I think it's still an important message.
You like the vibes of the Christmas music. So you're like, all right.
And
so I guess hypocrisy is weak. The vibes are good.
And I think the only one I could really come up with is The 12 Days of Christmas. That one's too long. It's too repetitive. It's corny.
Oh, too
Get
long.
it out of here. Unless it has roast beef sandwiches in it, I don't want to hear it. That's the only one I could really come up with that I don't really enjoy.
Yeah, there's so many variations of it too. Because then
you need to go listen to the 12 Redneck Days of Christmas.
there's the 12 Days of Fast Food. I think that one might have a roast beef in it somewhere.
The
So
Arby's,
there's 8 million versions of the 12 Days of Christmas, and yeah, you're right. It's overlong, and I've heard it performed by
Children.
million. It feels like, you know, at least thousands of children performing different versions of it, and it is very long, and you get that restlessness with the kids up there on the stage. So coming at it from that way, I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. And we just watched a version of it this week. Was our Christmas performance at my school, and I watched another version that just kind of went on about 3 minutes too long, and you're just like, oh man, we need to tighten this song up. Just, we don't need to repeat them. We heard them once. That's good. So we could do the 12 Days of Christmas, the tight 2-minute version, and life would be better. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I have when I get to mine, I have different reasons, but a lot of them are just because of work that I would just never want to hear them again. So Tim, what's your pick in this one?
Well, first, thanks for such a great question. And I thought you guys had some really classy answers. Look, the truth is, I love Christmas music. Actually, John knows this. I have like a special Christmas playlist that I play every year, and I add a bunch of songs to it. That said, you know, really the question is about, hey, where's our nostalgia line? Like, if you really, really love something, you hear it 130 times a day, you're done with it, right? The easy answer is Mariah Carey, right? That's the easy answer. But you guys had such thoughtful answers. I wanted to come up with something better than the easy one. The easy answer is Mariah Carey. Get rid of that one. We'll never.
Yeah, the world will be a better place. And
there's a couple in there.
She's already got 40 houses from that song, so I think she'll be fine.
Right. And again, a terrific singer, well-arranged song. It isn't that. It's the overplaying factor.
Yeah.
But what I would pick is something maybe a little bit more of an oddball. The first one is there's I've been saying for years, there's a Charlie Brown Christmas song that doesn't really fit. It's by Vince Guaraldi, and it's like the real somber song. It's about the changing of the year. It's really funereal is how it's often described. And by the way, is it haunting and beautiful and unforgettable and Vince Guaraldi? Yes, it's all those things. And it's really about winter and the, mortality and all this stuff, right? But is it suitable for a Christmas song? No. And I'll tell you why, because of what John said about the joy of the song. I think one of the primary ingredients of the Christmas song, you kind of feel joyful after you hear it, right? That's really what they're designed to do. So I would strike the, I don't know if do you guys know which song I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know which one. We have that soundtrack, so we
is here again.
Yes,
really
I know exactly.
creepy.
Yeah, and you're right. It doesn't fit because most of the soundtrack in that is so upbeat and poppy.
Compared
and then
to
you get this one, it's like the somber kids singing it. So yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. As soon as you said it, I'm like, yep.
Right.
I know that.
And by the way, even listen to like the, compared to the Charlie Brown Christmas theme, or the regular theme is more Christmassy. It's like da 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 da.
I don't know though. Yeah. Charlie's pretty depressed. They got that sad tree. I mean, I don't know. I forgot if it's in that.
Yeah, I guess
he's balding at 10 years old.
My guess is they might have went to Vince Guaraldi and said, "Well, it's kind of like this sad Christmas tree. Can you write us maybe sort of a sad song right here?" And by the way, I love sad songs too, but what we're doing here is making our line. That's where my line is. Yeah. And actually, I will give one more because that one might get some heat, I would think, because it's a pretty popular Christmas song.
Yeah.
But I can't stand the Feed the World Christmas song with all the artists singing on it. And in that case, I do feel it's not that good of a song to start with. Like the melody's not that good. And the second thing is that I get it that they're trying to raise money and do something good. But the more you hear about musicians and rock stars and what they actually do with all this money, it's almost offensive to think that they're going to somehow do anything positive for Christmas. They're filling their jet skis up with blow from the money they make. Turning
especially those 80s rock stars. Yeah, that was their cocaine stars.
And if you look
especially
at the list,
Bob Geldof.
Truth bomb.
Yeah,
and part of that is I do want to sound a little shocking, but the other thing is a song I don't think it's that good, and it's got Bono droning on about he's having breakfast instead of you, something like that.
I actually forgot about that song, so that is a good call.
And it's one of those things where like, I mean, I love Christmas songs, and I'm a little bit predisposed to like Christmas songs.
Mhm.
But I'll skip that one if it comes on. I don't care
Yeah.
what Bono is trying to do, and I kind of wish he wouldn't have made that record. Do something else. We've said before that, voices, if there's too many of them, like really we talk about this in the studio. Really, the right amount for harmonies is like 3. And it's true of voices or guitars, or I mean, I suppose it's true of wood instruments and wind instruments.
Mhm.
But if you get to 3, it's like, hey, it's kind of like this swelling harmony. You got all the parts. You go to 5, and you go to 7. That's your 7th, and it turns into what I call the.
And they
ball
go
of
to a
fun.
room full, so yeah.
Well, yeah.
it's-
In that case, I want to say there's something like 50 people singing.
Yeah,
on it, right?
it's huge because that was MTV era, and they wanted to show like, here's all the people you love from MTV all in one room.
Yeah.
Harmonizing, not really, but they're
if-
here. Look,
if
that's
you
Cindy
wanna
Lauper. You like her.
Get an idea of what
watch
I'm
this.
talking about.
Was-
A real good way to describe it is if you ever listen to something like this is just for an example. I'll say like a barbershop quartet that does those vocals,
Mhm.
and then compare that to the noise coming out of a stadium.
Isn't
Yeah.
that
One
the
you
one
can
where
really-
Michael Jackson is like horrified because Huey Lewis can't really sing or something? And Bob
Right.
Dylan stoned in the background. I don't remember. which
Yeah,
one.
Bob Dylan. They had to keep feeding him his lines. Like you hear the history of it, and it's like you try to get all these big names in the same room, and you forget that they're all fucked up on drugs, and you're not going to get that easy.
And Dan
of a
Aykroyd
flow.
photobombs it.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, go on YouTube and find the video and
Yeah,
just
Dan
watch
Aykroyd
the,
photobombs.
the chaos of the 80s video in that one. So yeah, I can definitely see that one. And I see John's as well with the John Lennon one, because it's kind of like, he's kind of the earlier version of Bono. Like, oh, I care so much about the world while my maid's cleaning my dishes for me. So yeah, hypocrisy in
Or
music.
conceivably, yeah. Why couldn't you?
Yeah.
And again, if I'm so smart, why am I not a millionaire, right? Like, if you really wanted to be helpful, why not release a hit single like Mariah Carey did that would become probably 10 times as popular, and just donate all the profits from it to the
Yeah.
relief fund or whatever you're trying to do. The whole thing smacks of a look at me exercise.
Oh, everything about that was that. And that was, the time of Live Aid and Band Aid and all these, aids, because we want to save the world. But it's more just like you said, more look at me, look how great we are, pat our own backs kind of thing. So
And
that was what the 80s was full of, with that whole thing, hands across America. I remember all that bullshit. And
thanks for
everything
pointing that
was
out. If
the
you remember,
next
it was
thing.
kind of a trend, and there was
yeah.
And also, I'm for the idea of relief concerts in general. I think it's a great idea. I just didn't care for this song.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's a good call.
Mine's a more obvious one. I'm going with Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
I'm with you.
Oh yeah.
I just
I can
find
see
that
that one.
repulsive and annoying, and I laugh that they used it on the show The Good Place as one of the theme songs of The Bad Place. So one of the theme songs of Hell was Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. I'm like, I can understand that. It's one of those
Makes
ones
sense.
that even as a kid I heard, I'm like, this is just dumb. And I mean, I was a kid listening to Dr. Demento and
Right.
all the
I was
kind
going to say, so
weird
you
stuff
weren't
that was
a
coming
a
out.
fan of Grandma Got Dismembered by a Chainsaw then?
I
The
think I
follow-up?
might like that one better. I think it's just Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. Growing up in the high desert, when I was growing up, that was one of those songs that you would hear just kind of over and over again. And it's so witty and funny. I'm like, not really. It's it's kind of dumb, but
One line joke.
That's mine going away. Kind of an easy, obvious choice, but yeah, Dash took my other one. That would have been the Wonderful Christmas Time, because I just think it's rhythmically awful. It's just like, okay, hey, we'll pay you a couple $1 million. Write a quick Christmas song for us. He's like, I got this. He
I'll
could have
just
written
say the
that in
same
his
thing
sleep.
35 times.
Yeah, it's like say the
This
same
thing
thing.
writes itself, right, Tim?
Yeah, it's like
That's
just
a good reference, man. Good
Yeah,
reference.
it
I
writes
like
itself.
that.
toy around with your keyboard. Boom, you wrote
Give
your
that man
riff
the
now.
$10,000.
Yeah, and it still gets played all the time. So he's still cashing checks from that horrible song. And I'm sure whoever wrote Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, I have no clue who they were. They're still cashing checks.
Listen, I agree with your point,
Elmo
Ed,
and
but
Patsy.
I'm going to take
Okay.
the con just for 1 second, as I like to point out. This is another thing that John and I talked about. The thing about Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, it kind of shows the point that anyone can write a song. I love to talk about, songwriting's not this mystical process with this, it's like, hey, I got this idea for a song. One guy's going to like strum these 3 notes and then the other one, because when you listen to the song, it's very simple. Like there is no harmony, or there's barely, it's something that you can tell it's a couple of guys or a girl, maybe, I don't know who's in their band, but they're just kind of goofing around.
Yeah.
And the fact is, people responded to it. So
I mean, they built a
Country
holiday
music was built
classic.
on that.
yeah, build a career off it. Talk about
Built a career, built a few houses, I'm sure, off of one terrible song. So I guess, in that case, I see your point, but I hate it. So I'm like, all right,
not changing.
Still,
listen,
still
I
has
wasn't
to go.
voting for its redemption.
Oh no, and I see your point, because it is thing. It's like, okay, you don't need to be the mega millionaire rock stars like we were talking about with their excess and pretentious. Look at us, we're so great, we love the world, and shut up, go away. But these guys, they never told us what they think about the world. They just wrote a dumb little catchy song and probably made more money than that Feed the World song. So
For sure.
yeah, I'm with you on the sentiments on that, but still gotta go. All right, so now we're going kind of the other way. First one, we just hate them. Get rid of them, because I don't ever want to hear them again. They're the worst. Mariah Carey, like I said, the easy, obvious choice, because now it's almost a joke. You'll hear it so often because Mariah Carey's thawing, and you have the memes, and it's kind of entered into that meme culture. So even my kids are like, "Oh, Dad, Mariah Carey's thawing, it's coming," and they show me the memes of Mariah Carey and Carbonite, so we know, okay, what's coming. So hers could easily go in the overplayed category too. So which is yours? So we'll start with Tim this time. What is your pick for a song that just needs to be removed for being overplayed?
Boy, you're going to be surprised by this answer, because I wanted to have some honesty also, right? Because like some of these bands I love, and this is one that I even go and see in concert, but the most overplayed between me playing it here at the house and on the radio is this Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Carol of the Bells.
Carol of the Bells, yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, it's a great song, yes, and it even has the cool harmonies we were talking about. But the thing is, so I'm hoping somebody will jump in and redeem it, because even here and again now, I want to listen to it again. But honestly, probably the most overplayed song, both in my house and on the radio and other places.
And if it's a lot of Christmas movies, they move it in there now. So I think that's in Home Alone, and it's definitely all over the place.
It does have one kind of cool thing going for it too. It sort of resurrected the interest in sort of metal sounding Christmas songs.
Yeah,
and there's a couple of pretty good ones now. But I would say that. Well, even that song's got to be 20 years old, doesn't it? But
I think so, because I know it was in Home Alone, and that movie that came out in early 90s. So yeah, we're talking probably 30 years old, and it's I've heard it in a lot of movies, so it's definitely overplayed. It's one that I don't own myself, so I haven't overplayed it in my own house, but I know it's like kind of every year they do their Christmas extravaganza, and it's sells out arenas like nothing, because people want to go see it.
And a quick bit of TSO trivia: there's 2 bands. It's like a Broadway style troupe, and one tours the West Coast and one tours the East Coast.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and because there's only one Christmas, and people don't go and see TSO in June.
Yeah, I guess so. They would need to be able to maximize
Yeah.
being able to play both coasts without doing like this quick, you know, that would give them a month and they'd have to tour just crazy, but they're doing 3 shows in LA.
Do you guys know
want to hit the other coast?
I know John knows this one. Do you guys know the history of Trans-Siberian Orchestra, how they got started as a band, which is now this mega platinum, as you know, runaway success story?
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy who, first of all, they were songwriters at the beginning, and boy, viewers, correct me in the comments, I'm going to get this wrong, but it was Paul O'Neill and the other guy was John Oliva. John Oliva was a singer in a 90s metal band called Savatage. And by the way, they were very successful as well. Their big album Sirens was one of the ones that got them touring with Iron Maiden and this kind of thing. But then coming back from Live Aid, do you remember? This was a two-brother band. It was Chris Oliva and John Oliva.
Mm-hmm.
It might be Oliva, but I say Oliva. Well, anyway, coming back from the gig,
Oliva. I always
Chris
thought it was
Oliva.
Oliva. Yeah.
Is it
Mm.
Oliva? Okay. Anyway, coming back from the gig, Chris Oliva is hit by a drunk driver and killed. Right. So obviously a devastating blow to the band. He was this great guitar hero and all this.
Yeah.
Well, so the brother drifts for a couple of years, and soon he doesn't want to be in the band anymore, and somebody else has taken over all the vocals. And the band keeps going, by the way.
Mm.
Well, I guess this guy, Paul O'Neill, comes up to John Oliva, who's doing nothing and just being depressed. And Paul says, well, look, what do you want to do? You can't just founder and, do nothing. What do you want to do? And John turned to him and said, well, I like Christmas songs. Boom. And they created TSO, and it became arguably much bigger than Savatage ever did.
Yeah, I would say so. Because
I mean, I know
Savatage
that.
I haven't heard of, but Trans-Siberian Orchestra, even if someone isn't sure who they are, you play the song and they know it. Whether it be from a movie, whether it be from television commercials, it's been used in the full gamut. I mean, they
and
use that
John,
song
back me up
everywhere.
here. When you hear Savatage and then play it right after TSO and hear that guitar, you go, "Oh, okay, this is how they." That's like their tone, kind of. Because
okay.
if you like the metal TSO songs,
It was
there's a
released.
90% chance you'll like Savatage.
Ah,
I think
all
so.
right.
It was released in 1995 at Christmas in Sarajevo.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that song's going to be 30 years old.
Wow. So near 30, and it's just it's been a staple of Christmas every year. So yeah, I can see where you go from that one. I don't have the same feeling, so it might be my save later on. We'll see. So John, what is your song that you're removing because it's overplayed?
Well, I guess I maybe should have added this one to the first one, but it's Baby It's Cold Outside. It's
Good one, John.
it's more of a winter song, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's played around the holidays. It's just not a very good song. The memes where it's
Yeah.
like people argue about what the intent of the song is, but the end is just a crappy song. So why do we even bother with it?
We don't care what it's about. It's just not good. So
And usually
yeah.
it's by some crooner or something, that's just not great.
Yeah,
anyway,
I can see that. Yeah, and it's been there's a million versions of it. None are good, and it's been going on. So yeah, I can definitely see that one. But yeah, that one could have easily fit in the first category too. I guess sometimes the overplayed, you learn to hate them because you hear them so much. So you can kind of develop two feelings about them. So yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that one, but as soon as you said it, I'm like, yeah, that's not one that. If I have a Christmas compilation CD or something, that's definitely hitting the skip button on it. All right, so Dash, what do you have for this one?
Every song ever played on the radio.
The Christmas
Good night.
catalog.
I don't know if you every song. No, I do love Christmas songs, guys. Christmas is my favorite time of year. And my
You are
wife,
rocking the
John,
hat.
my wife would agree with you on yours, John. Yeah.
Nice.
But I don't know if you guys have ever heard this. It's called "I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas."
That's my mom's favorite.
I don't know if it's.
I've
an
heard that
Oklahoma
too many
thing
times.
or
It's been
what, but
performed.
I want a hippopotamus.
Yeah. Oh.
I love
We
it,
have-
but it's
we have
time
an
to go.
ornament
It's
that
time.
plays-
It's just time. It's you don't have
You have
to
an
like-
ornament that plays the song.
Yeah.
We have an ornament that plays the song, and my kids love. It's my mom's favorite song, so of course my kids love it. Yeah, it's not, a talented young lady, but that shrilling voice, I can kind of see. That one
Yeah,
doesn't
I
really do
can
much
see
for it.
that
After
one
you
is-
hear it once or twice, you're like, okay, I get it. Haha,
No more.
that'd be
Move
funny.
along. Kind of like Grandma got run
Yeah,
over
yeah,
by a
yeah.
reindeer. It doesn't persevere. You don't want to hear it over and over again. So I can see where that one, and that's one. All my category is all going to be based on songs that I've had to hear over years of performances. So that one, fourth grade in my school has played that one a lot, and I was told by the fourth grade teacher, "Don't you dare remove that one." So I'm like, all right, Dash did, not me. It's all right. What else? What else do you have, Dash? Any other ones that you would say
Yeah.
for overplayed?
That's it.
All right, so
That's it.
we can take it
I got rid of
easier
the
on
ones I wanted
Christmas
to get
this
rid of.
time.
I want to keep this for like. Yeah, I don't.
All right,
I don't want to be
so-
known as a hater anymore.
the Christmas Grinch up there. No, for me, mine, like I said, I have a whole different relationship with some of these songs because we've had to perform them at different Christmas performances at my elementary school. And the one song that I learned to just never want to hear again because it being overplayed was The Little Saint Nick by the Beach Boys. But that's because the teacher who I worked with wanted to perform that song every year. He never wanted to change it. He's like, let's just do Little Saint Nick and let's just perform that one. And he played it and he played it and he played it. And it just, I have to listen to it. If we perform it at a Christmas performance, I have to hear it at least 100 times before the performance happens. So that means I've heard this song upwards of 1,000 times trying to perform it. And if I hear it again, I'm like, oh gosh, I cringe. And my wife put it in one of her Christmas playlists on Spotify. And I'm like, you got to take that one out.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I could see that. And you're setting the kids up with that one too, man. That's a hard one to sing.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's just, he loved it. That was what he wanted to play. And yeah, it was, he retired and, you know, I'm glad he liked it, but if I never hear it again, it'll be too soon. So that's mine, but it's not even that they overplay it on the radio. You don't really hear it on the radio. You don't hear it in the grocery store. It's not the same way, but since I heard it so many times and I could give you, 5 or 6 other songs from our performances that I've heard. One of them, Hippopotamus one, there's Where Are You Christmas? There's the grade has performed it over and over again. So I just think like, okay, I could go through the whole list, pull out the flyer from our Christmas performance on Wednesday and say like, strike that entire list from my life. Because I've heard them over and over again, every performance. And I've been teaching now for 25 years. So that's 25 years of hearing those songs.
Wow.
But it's different when you have to perform it because then you have to play it and play it and play it and play it and play it. And by the time the performance rolls around, it doesn't matter what song. It could be the greatest Christmas song that you love and you're still going to be sick of it and it's now overplayed. But that's just my own personal thing.
Do you personally not pick songs you like so that you don't have to hear them?
I don't. I did. There's actually, speaking of Feliz Navidad, I found a punk rock cover of it. And I thought this will just be fun to throw the whole thing off, like to freak people out. And it worked. It was beautiful, but I even got sick of that one. It's the band, the Voodoo Glow Skulls. Nice. It's a hidden track on one of their albums. And it's a hidden track cover of Feliz Navidad. It is beautiful. Let your daughter hear that one, Dash. You might get her back in on it because she's like, all right, it punk rocks up Feliz Navidad. And I got yelled at by one of the other teachers because they do Feliz Navidad every year. They're like, Feliz Navidad is our song. Another reason I can get rid of it. I said, don't worry. We're not going to overlap. And we played it. And the parents were just like, oh, because it's, they've heard these songs. And when it's not their kid up there, it's like, all right, this is some other damn kid playing a song I don't like, singing it badly. Please let this thing end. And I come out with this like hardcore punk rock song and all the parents were like, whoa. And they're like standing ovation for that song. But I couldn't do it again because it will kill even a song you like. And I thought that one was fun and crazy. And the parents loved it. I've done it about twice now, but most of the other teachers are like, no, we're not going to indulge you in your weird whim to play a punk rock song for our Christmas performance. And I got yelled at by a principal one time. She's like, you didn't warn me that it was punk rock. I'm like, that made it even more punk. Sorry.
Hell yeah.
All right. So there's mine. So now instead of we had one where we were going to save a song like on the first time because we just wanted to save it for future generations, ruining it. But Christmas songs have all been ruined. It's too late. All the Christmas songs have been played. They will be played. It's, they have their now 2 months of the year that they get played on, every PA of every public store that exists. So we're not going to really save one from future generations. They're all going to get ruined and they're all going to get TikToked and memed. But what's a song that we dumped a song from being played? What are we going to replace one of these overplayed songs with and make a song that's not become a Christmas classic get its chance? We want to give this new song its chance in the sun because all of these other songs, they've had their chance. We're done. We're through. but what's a song that hasn't been given that love that deserves it? So Tim, what's your pick on this one?
I do have one. And I wanted to make sure I understood this assignment correctly. I even have a graphic prepared if you'd like to see it. Yeah, and
Nice.
I'll tell you
Tim
why I
has
say
prepared a PowerPoint.
He brings the
Yeah.
professionalism.
Jeez.
Well, I don't know. You might have to add it. I can't. There you go. A very special Christmas, right? A Christmas gift for you. This is most people kind of know this album, and the reason I'm suggesting it is that there's a bunch of remakes made of this song, and it's Christmas, Baby, Please Come Home. And I guess the most famous one is probably U2.
Yeah.
There's also, sometimes people call it the David Letterman Christmas song because there's a Paul Schaefer version that's pretty good.
Okay.
And which, by the way, has some pretty cool bass work on it.
Mm.
But where I'm going with this album, I think, is 63. This came out. Sometimes people call it a Motown Christmas. It's actually not called that. It's actually called A Christmas Gift for You. And all the songs on it are like that. So what I'd be gently suggesting is the song that we pulled, and maybe even pull the more modern versions of this song, and go back to the 1963 version and go to overplaying this one.
Yeah.
Because to me, this one says Christmas. I always have to hear I always hear the U2 version. There's a Bon Jovi version. By the way, there is a Mariah Carey
And there's
version.
a Mariah Carey version. If you're talking about replacing, she does a good version of that. If you want to,
Yeah. The one thing about the Mariah Carey version, for some reason, that her other song got more popular.
Right.
You know, like she does a version of this song, but you might hear it once a Christmas. That
Right.
said, I'm still going to vote with John to replace it. I'm going to go with the original one. And the reason why, that's why it's always tough on a podcast to, talk about musical things because you can't really play a sample without violating it. But the way they recorded it in 1963 was what they call analog recording. And you can tell when you listen to the track, you can actually sort of hear the people standing in the room. It sounds like if the piano player lit a cigarette, you could hear his lighter go,
Yeah.
That's the
I
kind of
love that
record.
stuff.
Me too, man. Me too.
Yeah.
And it's very much a jam session. And it's also a little bit, I'm not trying to sell anybody anything if you like different types of music, but some people would look at some of these early Motown female singers as some of the the grandmothers of the modern sound that's around today. I would agree with that. I'm not the biggest Motown person, but out of all the Christmas albums, the Motown one kicks ass the most.
Yeah, I got to check that out because I need new,
all
new
the songs,
Christmas music.
I got to tell you, all the songs are that good. And it's also, you notice it says on there from Phil Spector, noted record producer, very famous in his own right. Also,
the Wall of Sound, Phil Spector, and
it's the Wall of Sound. He was also a murderer.
Yeah, and I was like, all known for other things besides his musical.
Yeah, so
his
secret
musical
reason Tim likes this
contributions.
song.
Guys, I love music trivia, right? Like, who would have thought that the guy who made this album was 30
He's got a really
years
great
away.
hairdo.
Yeah, right. He looks sort of like a cadaverous rock star. He's a weird looking dude.
Yeah, he looks like a troll doll in real life, and
Yeah, and I feel bad. I actually didn't know the original version, all those other ones you mentioned. So yeah, I'll have to check this one out.
yeah, I know. I think, like you said, the Bon Jovi and the U2 are the ones that I think of the most, and the U2 because that's been thrown into Christmas movies and everything as well. And Bono's got enough money; he's got enough houses. Let's give some love to the real deal.
I was hoping you would mention that because what happened throughout, I guess this was the late 80s to I think it's still going today.
This was the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't they still make them now though? I have like the first 6 ones.
I have the first 6, and actually one of my picks comes from one of the very special Christmases. I love that one. That was one that I remember. That one kind of brings me the nostalgia for Christmas music because we had the vinyl album of the first one, and that had the Run DMC on there.
Right.
It had the Madonna Santa Baby. So yes, a skipper, but Dash and I have talked. Skipping on vinyl is a lot harder than skipping on a CD. It takes such effort. You're like, I'm not gonna put this much effort forth. I'll just let the damn thing play, even if it's not good. But yeah, that one, I love that compilation. And like I said, one of my replace picks comes from that. And that one, I'm trying to remember. That one has, I think that has there's a Bruce Springsteen one on there. So yeah, that's when we haven't decorated our house yet. I'm terrible. And we're going to decorate on Sunday. So when we decorate Sunday, that's the album that I'm going to play, and that's
hold
the
on,
one my
I have a
kids
question.
remember.
Can we take a quick detour?
Of course.
I want to ask the group, when do you set up your Christmas and when do you take it down? Ed,
Mm.
you go first. You didn't do it yet.
So for me, we are always running
December
late.
24th, and
It's been later and later because it's just, weekends get crazy. But for me, we try to do it around this time, like around kind of the middle of the month, and then we take it down January 6th.
Oh, good for you. And you
January
don't have
6th,
kids.
exactly.
Yeah. We
You have
have,
any
what's
kids?
that? Yeah,
You have any kids?
2, and they're older, and they don't get, when they were younger, because now they're
sure.
14 and 18.
Yeah.
When
it's
they
different.
were 4
Yeah.
and 8, we were setting
Yeah.
up the day after Thanksgiving because
Yeah.
they were excited. They were primed for it. They're like, Dad, when do we get the Christmas decorations? When do we get to get them out? Now they're like, I don't want to decorate the tree. They don't have that same excitement. They have the certain ornaments that they want to get out that they're special to them. They're, the ones that they've had since they were little, but they'll put those 2 or 3 ornaments up, and then it's me and my wife doing it all.
Yeah,
So I think that's
you and
the
I are
reason
similar.
We take a lot longer than we used to. I mean, the now version is, right around this weekend. We're like, wow, we better get them out. We're running late. Or, take 10 years away version was right after Thanksgiving. So yeah, now it's around the 20th or so. Just get something up. But yeah, we used to get the big tree and buy it. Now we just bought one of those plastic trees. I'm like, because it's just, they don't have the passion of wanting to go to the Christmas tree. Like, hey, let's go pick a Christmas tree.
Like the Griswolds.
We have to. So teenagers.
Let's hear from, before we go to the questions, I want to hear from each person though. Dash, how about you? When do you put the tree up and when do you take it down? Oh, did we lose Dash?
He's lagging.
All right, to prove that I am not a hater. You got me now?
Yeah, I think so. Your video's behind your audio though.
To prove that I'm not a hater, we put our Christmas tree up and Christmas decorations up November 11th. And then
11th?
or November
Ooh.
11th, 12th, 13th area, right around there, depending on
Pre-Thanksgiving. That's
Yeah.
bold.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's
and
crazy.
then
That's funny. We used to be. We've changed a lot too.
This is my favorite time of the year.
Oh,
We've changed a lot too, based on the kids. Like we used to be the, November. They would just get so excited after Halloween, put them up, and now my 10-year-old, the dictator of the house, she says, Thanksgiving deserves its time. Do not put a single decoration out. So this year, she put her foot down. So now we have some out, but we've kind of been slow because then they weren't super motivated to put them up right after Thanksgiving. So
yeah.
I assume that will be the way of the world the next couple of years. But yeah, my wife and I, when the kids were little, we'd always put them up, mid-November and enjoy them. We're also horrible and would keep them up till, late January, February. And the outside ones till April. People would maybe making fun of us.
Yeah, we had a tree that we kept it outside and let it die so we could put it up as a Halloween dead tree. So I did that one year. People were like, when are you going to throw that Christmas tree? I'm like, no, there's a plan. Just wait. It's going to be a skeleton tree. So yeah, I mean, granted, it's a fire hazard and I'm in SoCal. It's a bad idea, but
oh yeah,
we kind of kept it where it wouldn't hurt anything. But yeah, I've done that and we've kept them up longer, but we just kind of like January 6th. That was the day that we would always take them down when I was a kid. So we do it now. And yeah, John, you'll find now you got the 10-year-old who's a dictator. When that 10-year-old is 14, you're gonna be hard pressed to get her to lift a finger to put an ornament on. They're just
It's funny how you're flexible on the setup, but you got the tear down right on the Epiphany. That's the correct day.
That is funny.
The answer is that it's the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday is the day to set it up, and then to tear it down is the 6th. You can go. Some people go to the 7th. It's okay.
Yeah, I guess the 7th
those are the 2 days. Those are the correct answers. Thank you for tuning in.
You've given us the right answers. So
I say if it brings you joy, keep it up as long as you want.
Yeah,
it's like Halloween, right? I think it's like Halloween. Like if you're getting a kick out of it, go for it. But I do understand people who can't stand hearing Mariah Carey on November 2nd, or people you go to get your Halloween stuff and they're already kind of edging the Christmas stuff to you. That's a little sketchy to me.
Yeah, see, and I didn't take the overplayed one because I just think about work, but I think Mariah Carey and Wham are the two that just I'm so sick of both of them. So it's like I don't want to hear Last Christmas, and I don't want to hear All I Want for Christmas Is You. So I guess special shout out to let's get Wham out of the mix of things as well.
Well, yeah,
And
and
now-
Wham, again, this is a problematic band, right? Separate the art from the artist. Remember, there was some
Yeah.
pretty
Right.
gross criminal charges against.
Yeah.
Whipped it out in a public
George
bathroom. No
Michael.
big deal.
Yeah.
I was hoping.
Again,
y'all
rock
would say
stars,
Wham.
right? Like, hey, well,
La-
that's all I was doing. Okay.
Last Christmas is my favorite Christmas song, and Mariah Carey's definitely in the top 5. So
So
I'm
see,
glad,
you
I'm
brought
a traditionalist.
you brought the Christmas joy. Dash was like, take them down. Like I got
Take 'em
Christmas joy, but those
Whoa!
songs do not bring me Christmas joy. No, it's that Dash is the most festive of all of us, but he brought the hate to the songs he hates. So that's good though. I mean,
It's all right.
Nobody mentioned. I
We're here
thought
for
for
that.
sure. I thought for sure somebody would mention the Paul McCartney simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
No,
where he
that,
does-
that's what
that was
that was,
Dash's, and that
Dash's
was
second one. yeah.
Okay, he did say that.
that was
Yeah.
Dash's, and that was also
That was my
going to be
first one.
mine. That was
Yeah.
my first pick. I would let Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer live above that, but since Dash killed it, I'm happy. Let it die. So I had to kill another song that I hate. But yeah, that one. We're now bringing love to Christmas. So you
Love.
brought us in a great one. I'm actually going to go check that out because that sounds good. Problematic producer or not, I want to check out that Christmas album you were talking about, Tim. And
Yeah,
Dash, what's one you're gonna
definitely
say?
recommended.
or not say, but what's one that you want to replace? Like you're taking out the overplayed song and you're replacing it with a new song to get overplayed.
Dash.
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh yeah, sweet. I just don't know if y'all can hear me anymore. Again, I'm from Oklahoma, so everything down here is George Strait.
Mm.
And so there's a song called Christmas Cookies, and for some reason it's one of my favorite songs by George Strait, Christmas Cookies. And I don't have a cool graphic like Timothy did, so one of these days I'll learn how to do all the cool stuff you do, Timothy. I would have brought that up, but I just love it. It's called Christmas Cookies. It's fun. It's upbeat, and it's just about him and his wife in the kitchen cooking Christmas cookies for the kids, and it's just he likes to eat them while she's cooking and steal them from her and things like that. So it's just a good song, and it's not. I have to listen to it on CD. I don't ever hear it on the radio, so I think it's one that you could put to the radio and it would be good.
Okay. Yeah, I
sounds
don't
good.
think I've ever
Sounds
heard
good.
that one. Yeah, so that's one I haven't heard. Another one I'll seek out because I'm always looking for new and interesting Christmas songs above, the ones that we've heard a million times. So, John, what's one that you're going to move from not being played into Christmas burnout?
Yeah, obviously there's always that risk, right? No matter what we do, we can't control if we hear a song too many times, we starts to diminish, but I'm not sure that I could ever hear this one too many times. And that's the Ramones, Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight. That's my favorite Christmas song. It's
nice.
so
Yeah, I like that
absurd.
one.
It's just the fact it exists is the most absurd thing in the universe that this strange band has said. We're going to do a Christmas song, but it's going to be in their style and just totally perfect and very reflective of what a lot of people's Christmas is like. They just want to get through it without a family fight, and it's just the lyrics are so funny and it sounds so good, and I got my kids into it, and that's been my favorite for a long time.
That's
so,
a great
Yeah.
pick, man. Thanks for sharing that one.
I love that one. That's a good one. That's a fun one that's
Yeah.
in a couple of my Christmas mixes because I try to build a playlist that's not just the normal stuff, and I have some stuff on vinyl that you can't build a playlist with vinyl unless you're making mixtapes, and that's I'd have to get a tape deck for that again. So yeah, I love that one. That's in the mix, and you don't hear it too often. So I guess that's the good thing is it hasn't reached that point of burnout. Everything can, but just hasn't yet. So,
and of course, introduced to me by the famous Beavis and Butthead. So that just
yes,
makes it
Even
better.
better.
that was I think that was introduced to me
Yes, it was.
by a crazy coworker when I was working at Del Taco. I worked graveyard shift for a stint, and he was the guy who introduced me to punk rock at all.
Nice.
And he was slightly out of his mind. He was stealing like so much food from the company and threatened to kill me if I told the boss. So I'm like, man, I could write a book on some of the stories I had with that particular guy. But the one thing I'll always remember was he introduced me to the Ramones and the Descendants and just kind of opened my ears to punk rock. So that was one of the things that I got to hear through him and still love it. And yeah, even though that guy was complete maniac, he got me into punk rock. So
Yeah.
at least
Now that makes
at
that
least there's
song even better. Now I'll think about stealing tacos from Del Taco.
No, he stole freaking 20-pound things of raw meat
Yeah, right.
in his backpack. And we were getting yelled at like, what the heck? Our manager comes in and starts yelling at us like, you guys are putting way too much meat in the tacos.
Yeah.
What is going on? And we're like, no, we're doing the little scoop. Like you said, no. Well, we are like 45 pounds of meat over what you should have used. I'm like, yeah, that's because that motherfucker back there, but he threatened to kill me. I'm not telling you. So yeah, he was robbing. There. Yeah, it was crazy times. But yeah, because of him, I know the Ramones, and because of him, I always got yelled at by the manager. So
You wrote your new song, Merry Christmas. I don't want to get killed at Del Taco tonight.
I don't want that guy at Del Taco to kill me. That one, the new Christmas classic. So there's my new one. No, so
That's good.
my replace one is from what Tim was talking about, the very special Christmas. I think it's volume 4, and that one had a song. It had a Chris Cornell one. It had a Smashing Pumpkins one.
Yeah.
I love the Smashing Pumpkins one, but that one actually got brought into the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. So I'm like, all right, it got its moment. But one of the ones I love from that, it's just called Christmas by Blues Traveler.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a huge Blues Traveler fan,
Oh,
but
yeah.
that song is just so upbeat and perfect and Christmas, and I love it. So I don't hear it out in the wild. So that's one that it doesn't get its due out in public. It's not being played at, the Stater Brothers on the Stater Brothers PA. So give that one some love. Let us learn to hate it, but it's never got its moment to shine. So that's the one that I would pick.
That's a great pick. There's a
Very
look
good.
at the album if you
That's a
want to
good
see it.
Let's see.
That's the
It's interesting that you mentioned the Blues Traveler. Is that the cover of it? That's number 4.
I think that's 4. Oh, that's the live one. So it might be
That's
5.
4,
That's
isn't
the
it?
gold one.
Okay, gotcha. So in my case, though, I'm a fan of the Blues Traveler song. That's the one where he basically the gist of the song is it doesn't matter. I don't want to say it quite like that. That the song is not about faith; it's about including everyone. And if you're Jewish, and if you're a pagan, if you're a Druid, everybody Merry Christmas, which is kind of cool. It's a difficult concept to phrase, but you see what I'm saying. He doesn't say faith doesn't matter. That's almost what I said. But guess what he's saying is, in a broad sense, put aside your differences and get along because it's Christmas.
Yeah.
And there's a cool lyrics too. And he's like, excuse me if I'm not being reverent, which because it's kind of an irreverent Christmas song. But it's, hey, put aside your differences, have a drink.
Yeah.
And
he's saying if it's Hanukkah, if it's Kwanzaa, if it's whatever you celebrate, let's just celebrate peace on earth together. So yeah, I love the lyrics. I love it's got such a great beat. It's upbeat and it just kind of has that good Christmas vibe to it. So yeah, that one, it's a good song, and it's unlike some, like the Smashing Pumpkins one probably would have been my pick before it got scooped up by Guardians of the Galaxy. Now it's got its chance to be played over the beginning of a big Disney Plus streaming movie, but still something that has been watched millions of times. So they got their due, even if Billy Corgan is probably going to tell, see, I told you my song's the greatest Christmas song, and now it's in there because he's a pretentious douche, but I do love the song.
Who is the pretentious douche?
Billy Corgan.
Billy Corgan of the Smashing.
I don't actually know him all that well. Why do you say that?
Oh, I've met him in real person, and he's just he's
gone a little crazy in his old age.
He's very egotistical, and he's just going to tell you that Radiohead, they get love, but they don't deserve it. I should have got that love from the 90s, and he just will tell you why every other.
I mean, Ed, what other musical person made it on the cover of Cat Fancy? Okay.
Yes. Exactly. But yeah, he loves to tell you why he's the best and no one else deserves any accolades from the 90s. And he's got beef with every musician that's played in the 90s. And then, like I said, I've met him on a personal level backstage because a friend and me, one of my friends knew the drummer, one of the replacement drummers for the band, and he got us backstage passes. And Billy Corgan would be just kind of locked in a room, not even talking to the rest of the band. And they said, oh, don't you dare knock on the door. Don't bother him. And yeah, he's pretty insufferable. But I do love their music.
I didn't
so,
know any of this. I kind of liked Smashing Pumpkins. I will say that, the song that you mentioned, their Christmas song, I think is one of the great ones.
It is
But
amazing.
I
It's
wasn't
a great
really
song.
a big. See, I got to be careful there because I would say that I do like Smashing Pumpkins,
Mhm.
but I was never like, oh man, I can't wait to get the next Smashing Pumpkins. Like I just never got quite passionate, I guess I'd say. But the
Yeah.
songs, I do think some of their tracks are pretty good. The one thing they lack, though, you're right.
Yeah.
And this started in the 90s, was that musicians stopped being quite as much like rock stars.
Yeah.
And Billy Corgan's a great example. I mean, he would show up to these $1 million events and he looks like the guy who would come to fix your sink. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, rewind 5 years or 6 years and it would be some dude with 12-inch heels on and a
Yeah,
flannel. It was just, the 90s guys did things different, right?
they were
Wore
different.
flannel shirts and they wore combat boots. And even Nirvana was the beginning of that. And it was kind of a good thing, too. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and I can't
The
believe I'm
80s
gonna say
excess
this.
got out of hand is what happened. And the
But
90s.
you
were kind of
remember
a-
all those
the
you remember
pendulum
all
swings.
those rock stars, right? Like
Yeah.
you can remember the guys from Rad or Motley Crue that had the big
Yeah.
thing.
the teased up Aquanet
But can you
hair and
remember, other
everything.
than Billy Corgan, can you name one person from Smashing Pumpkins?
I could name the whole band and some of the replacements. Yeah.
Okay, so you could. Dash could.
Well,
you?
he can.
No, it wasn't
Yeah.
my time.
No,
I mean,
I
Yeah,
know what they
that's-
look
no.
like.
Billy
but
Corgan reminds me of a guy who owns a wrestling.
He does own a wrestling.
he does own a wrestling company.
Yeah, so that's probably who. But for me,
They're
they're my favorite. They're my favorite 90s band. I still love their music despite meeting him and kind of like never meet your heroes.
Never meet your heroes,
He's
yeah.
definitely he makes that statement true. He's just pretty insufferable to
He had
deal
all
with.
the narcissism of the '80s, but none of the teased out hair and
Yeah, he went bald. So I mean, it's like, all right, he just went. He had to do the shave thing because
Oh, that
yeah,
makes
what can
that
you
makes
do?
sense.
But it comes down to I still love their music, and that would have been my top pick. And I'm glad it got into Guardians of the Galaxy because it is a great Christmas song. And the Blues Traveler one is also a great one. I hope it gets some well-deserved love sometime. And we can pause Mariah Carey for a minute and play some songs like that because we have some good ones in here and some ones that I actually need to go and seek out, ones that I haven't heard. And then of course the Ramones, and get to give me a little flashbacks to listening to
I'll throw you a
punk
little
rock
shout
at Del
out on this,
Taco at
fella.
midnight.
This is something that I stumbled across and has every ingredient of something that you would think I would not like.
Mm.
And yet what came out of the other side of the pipe, I now listen to almost every day. And it even made it onto this special Christmas playlist that I've made. And I'll share this with you guys if you'd like to after the broadcast.
Yeah,
Sure.
for
But
sure.
this fella, I was not aware of him.
Absolutely.
His name's Jordan Smith. I guess he was a vocalist on some kind of what it was one of these singing TV shows, The Voice, where people
Okay.
judge if
yeah,
you
he looks
can
familiar. Yeah,
sing or not. Now, I got to tell you, that's the kind of thing I don't know. I wouldn't watch a show like that if you held a gun on me. And mostly because of what Dave Grohl says about those types of shows. It's all the wrong ingredients of how to make a band. Yeah. Right. He says that, look, if you want to become a rock band, here's what you do. You get a couple of your friends together, you go out in the garage and you make a song and you really suck at it. And then you make a second song and that one sucks too. Then you make a third song and it doesn't quite suck as much. And then you make a fourth one and hey, you know what? It's not as bad. It's not terrible. And then number 5, you start, you get better and better. Well, this cat goes on The Voice, and I guess it's one of those things you show up, and if celebrities vote on you, you win.
They got to turn the chair.
Yeah, and like I say, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that part, but with this cat, what he does, I guess you'd say he's a level above a crooner. Do you know what I mean if I say a crooner? Yeah, and he
Gary
has
Connick Jr. or something like that.
Yeah, very much so, and we can talk about that next if that's something you like. I kind of
Michael Bublé.
Yeah.
I guess that might not be the right room for this topic, but in this case, the guy, he backs it up with a swing band.
Okay.
Not quite an orchestra, but what some people would call a big band, and it's got saxophone and a stand-up bass, and it's really catchy, and they got this kind of cool late 40s groove. And again, it's everything you think I wouldn't like. And here comes this cat, Jordan Smith. He sings it's the Grinch song.
Okay.
which I always feel is ripe material for a remake. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah. I almost picked The Grinch to be removed from the list. Again, it's a
Mm.
classic. We love it, right? But it'd be definitely fair to say that's one of the overplayed.
Overplayed
Well,
for sure.
For sure.
And some of the newer versions, I like when, to a certain extent, creators do something a little creative or take it in a different direction,
Mhm.
especially a different direction sonically, which is what
Yeah.
you would get here. This would have nothing out of place on an album with the Pointer Sisters and guys listening to it on the way back from the war. And now the difference is you can tell it's recorded digitally. We talked about that earlier. This is not an analog recording, and you can tell. But I will say that when you hear it, you're like, oh, this is what Tim was talking about. It's really good.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to
All
drop the link in the comments? I didn't know if that was something that.
No, drop the link. And what we can do, I'll create a shared Spotify
Yeah, drop it.
playlist.
Yeah,
And
I want
we
to
can
mention
all-
this is
if
actually
you have
Ed's idea. I
Spotify-
love the idea.
If you have Spotify, I can create a shared playlist and we can drop our good songs in there, not the skip ones, because you've already heard those already, I guarantee. So we can build a Spotify share playlist and put those ones that people should be listening to, give them a break from, the ones that they've heard already probably 20 times. Unless you can escape. Like I know that there's a whole contest of seeing how long you can make it without hearing Wham, and I've already lost. So
I lose
I-
day
I-
one. That's the first time on playlist.
okay, so you
I lost
broke
the
it on
first
your
day.
own.
I
All
bow
right.
out.
So now we get our chance to save some songs. So we all get one save. So Tim, what is your save from the songs that we've removed out of here?
I didn't write down the ones that we were cutting. Let me quick think in my memory here that it was. I know I'm not going to save Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
You said you were
Mariah.
you said you were going to
Wonderful
save the
Christmas
Jackson
Time.
5.
Yeah, I'm saving Jackson 5.
Jackson 5. There you go. So the Jackson 5 is getting saved. So Dash, you still have to listen to it. You're not saved. So which one are you going to save, Dash?
Absolutely none of them. Those
None
were
of
all
them.
very good picks,
Man,
and I'm
sounds
absolutely okay
Keep
with
them
none of them.
out. I'm with you. Yes.
I am a
Get 'em
Grinch.
out of here.
So John, which one are you going to save?
I have to do it. I've already hinted at it. She's the Ice Queen of Christmas. Mariah Carey's getting saved.
She's getting saved.
I listen to it. My kids yell at me.
Hmm.
We share the memes. I'm the one who is the opposite of the memes and thinks it's funny. And she echoes in Christmas for me, so I'm a saver.
So you're saving her,
even though she doesn't need the money.
Yeah, Mariah Carey. Oh my gosh, I actually looked it up how much money she's made from the song, and it's like $400 million she's made off that song.
Good
because
for
she
her.
gets.
Hopefully
she
that's
has-
mostly to her and not she didn't sign a bad deal.
No, it's she wrote it with other people, so she's a co-writer. So other people are getting some of that money too. But a lot of those divas don't write their own music; they just perform it. So she could have got a small payment and nothing else. But since she has co-writer credit, it's just like, okay, time for a new house. It's Christmas. So Mariah Carey can buy a new guest house every year. Cause I think they were saying it makes like
2 million
60 million per year that it gets when it gets played. So yeah, that one. Yeah, I had to look it up. I mean, who knows how accurate? Of course, you're Google searching, so it's all relative. But yeah, for that, I mean, I have to imagine even if it's not exactly that much, it's somewhere close. And yeah, she's making so much, and she could never release another song, and she could retire 20 times over, and put all of her kids up in a mansion. So for me, I'm bringing back your song, Tim. I got to bring the Trans-Siberian Orchestra one back. It is a great song, and I haven't burned myself out on it. Not anything can be burned out. I mean, any of these songs that we love can become played out if they get picked up. Especially, seems like if TikTok picks anything up, you will learn to hate it. You'll see people badly lip syncing it over and over again until the point that you just like, all right, please bury this song and kill that app. But none of them have reached that point yet. So there we go. We have taken on Christmas music. We took on regular music. So what were you saying?
I'll bring back I forgot that Tim had TSO on there. So I take back my statement, and I will also say.
So two of us are saving it. So your song is saved. You reluctantly killed it, and now you don't have to worry about its death. So at this point, I don't think any of us have live campaigns, but what would you like to promote? Tim, what would you like to promote?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. So I am currently promoting my Indiegogo campaign, which I started,
Okay.
but I'm not 100% ready to promote that. I got this. You want to throw that graphic up?
There we
So
go.
what we've been doing here in the meanwhile, we've been doing this podcasting thing on Friday nights at 10 p.m. And what it is now, it's a rotating schedule. And I'm throwing this out there because, of course, you guys are always invited. I know I'm going to see John in the next week or two, something like that. But essentially, your rotation now goes like this. The first Friday is UFOs. The second Friday is the ghost sighting show. The third Friday is now going to be the music show. And then the fourth Friday is the creative cranium. And
Nice.
yeah, kind of strangely, the UFOs and the ghost sightings are quickly the highest performing channels. And it's something that we're kind of surprised and excited to be doing.
I
The
can't watch
music thing.
That topic's too scary for me.
Yeah. And it's, some of them are kind of like the conversations take really weird and creepy turns. And you can see why, because really in our case, it's creators who come on and they explain if they believe it or they don't.
Yeah.
So in our case, I asked the questions, kind of like Ed did here today.
Last night's show was great.
Did you see it? Yeah, really a lot of fun, right? And you can tell that the guys now, the guests get into it and they do the research. And of course, I mentioned this because we talked about, I'm trying some new things, and next year's going to be some nonfiction work from Earth Dog Studios, which will be our first up is the UFO book, which is two things. It's collected written material that's released on Substack. I'm a Substacker. And the balance of which the analyses portion of what we talk about on the panels, that'll make it in like a blurb at the end of each chapter. And it'll have like some enhanced photographs and this kind of thing. It'll be, the format will be a documentary. Like it won't be, it's more like a library book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Sounds fun.
Yeah. So you can see we're testing the water there. And if that's a
good,
of course, we back right into ghost sightings.
Very cool. Yeah. That sounds fun. I if I ever came on, I don't have any of my own, but my wife has plenty. So I can just kind of relay one of her stories because she's got she could fill a book with them. For me, I haven't, but I'd love to join you. It's always fun.
Yeah, well, and by the way, both you and Dash are involved, or are hoping, like we haven't really decided anything formally, but I want to involve you in the music thing.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you
Sounds
why.
Good.
And by the way, I apologize if I'm taking too much time.
No, you're fine.
Okay, real quick, let me explain it. What we're going to try to do with the music podcast, and this is the hardest one, and I'm going to tell you why. One of the things that you probably noticed, and I've definitely noticed, anytime you're talking about music on YouTube, it like sets off their antenna. Let's take this episode down. Even if you mention certain things, you're potentially in violation of the terms of service. So, and I mean, I'm not kidding right now, even to the point of view like, hey, I won't do it right now because it would happen. Oh, you know what? I didn't stream this to my YouTube. I just put it on Facebook.
It's on my YouTube.
Okay, well, I'm not going to do it then. But if you hum the first 5 bars from Star Wars,
you'll get knocked down.
It's
been crazy.
Yeah. So what we're going to do here?
Copyright stricken.
Yep.
Right. And it's almost like they can tell the scrubbing is, of course, by AI, so they can tell if you're talking about music, your percentage is high that you might play a clip or hum. So in our case, we are going to emphasize the visual portions of music.
Okay.
Right. And what I mean by that, it is be a podcast that talks about things like album covers, guitars, and John knows he's done. So we did like top 11 bass heroes. We've got a drummer thing coming up. But instead of drum heroes, I might do something like greatest drum solos of all time. Maybe.
Okay.
And it might not be 11 because whenever we do the 11, the shows run long. It really comes out to like 5 or 6 questions and then everybody talking, as you know.
Yeah, I 11 questions could go a long time. I would have to think.
Especially if you get 5 people. It really comes out to 6 questions. So and you could always divide it into 2 because that's what we did with the ghost photos. You know, the guys wouldn't stop with this could be the lighting and like they get into it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a fun thing. So it'll be the visual elements of music, and it'll be called the Invisible Theater.
Cool.
And the first one we're going to do is going to be album cover based. I haven't decided. I should ask you guys either A, greatest metal album covers in history, which can't go wrong really, or the second we might do something because it'll be the 20. I forget if it's this week or next. So maybe Christmas album covers. Like I had one actually already ready on my Substack, which is most disturbing album covers. And it's like exactly what you'd think it is. And of course, the advantage to this, our podcast format, which is a little bit like we're doing here today, it shows the image and then where the head's at the side and everybody comments on the image. And those types of look, I don't know any set of podcast rules or anything because the truth is I'm more of a YouTube channel than podcast.
Okay.
But in my case, that might be better because we're going to do visual elements and things like that. And I have noticed that people customers, meaning they like to sort of tune in and watch and talk about stuff. It's a thing. So I don't think I'm going to do for example, Substack, you can release everything as just audio podcasts. And I guess Spotify does it.
Spotify does too.
Yeah. And Pod Squid and, Johnny Octopod, every freaking pod site. But I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to keep things simple. I'm going to be Substack, Facebook, and YouTube.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool. So, John, what do you have to promote?
Well, speaking of music, I have a music-themed comic coming back for its 6th issue. Second miniseries, the second issue of the second series of Drumsticks of Doom.
Nice.
Now we're into year 5. Dan and I have been working on this. We're on issue 6. It's not going at the pace we wanted, so we're hoping to pick up the pace this year and at least get 2 issues out and get the series into its final arc, hopefully in 2026.
John,
Nice.
I'm going to share the screen. Ed.
Got it.
Yeah,
There we
thanks. We
go.
got great cover artists and Laura Helsby with Jason Millay colors. And then good buddy of mine, Andy Vanderbilt, did the second cover with our breakout hit of the series, Argyle the Arachnigator. And we have plenty of stuffed animals of him and
Very
stickers and all kinds of other things because he's kind of the sensation of the series. So, yeah, we're very excited to get back to it. Did 5 books last year, have 5 on the slate for this year. So January, we got to hit it running because we got no time to waste. We got to get all these books out in the world before the world explodes.
Yes. We need more Drumsticks of Doom. So
And I love the title, John. Band on the Silver Mountain. It's great.
That's right.
yeah, gotta love that. Got your Dio reference in there.
Yep.
Yeah, good stuff. So
I'm a fan of this series. Just a quick comment, man. One of the most fun books out there, and I'm so happy to see it still going. And I actually I'm angry, is what I am, that John is putting out 5 books a year because it's making the rest of us look like chumps.
yeah, no, I got to step up my game.
I'm lucky if I can do 3 now.
Yeah, that's
probably
3
a
to
more
4.
that's probably a more sensible thing to do because I'm not going to tell you all 5 were insanely successful or haven't left me in the black a little bit, but
yeah, that's the thing. You have to realize you have to have your limits, or else you'll have a mortgage that's harder to pay. So yes,
right.
I definitely want to release more, but I know sensibly probably not the best idea. But Dash, what do you have to promote?
Oh, he's lagging.
Okay,
Waiting on me.
Yeah.
I'm lagging. Nope, you got me.
Okay. Yeah.
This has not been my day for streaming. So all I will say is wait till the end of January for the pre-order to finally drop on Amazon and Barnes & Noble for Hell Comes to Texas, a Colt Windsor story, part 1.
Cool. Sounds good.
That's all I'll say.
Nice.
All right. We'll look forward to it. So I'll just promote my other show that I do Wednesday nights, and that is First Impressions. I do that one with Dash, and on that show we pick an album we've never heard before, and we talk about it in a variety of different categories. So it's all different genres, all different times. We seem to have been hitting a lot of 70s lately. So the next batch that we're going to pick, we're going to do this all the way through Christmas. We'll have a couple pre-recorded shows. We're actually going to be looking at the Jethro Tull Christmas album. So
That's a great idea. Yeah.
I've never heard it, but we'll be looking at that. That'll be dropping on Christmas Day. And we're looking for a good album with a song about New Year's on it. So we just need one song about New Year's because there's no New Year's album. So if anyone has a suggestion with a song that has a New Year's themed song, let us know. We can use that album because we're trying to hit our last two. And then we have our next batch of 4 each.
Yeah, I'll have to check out that album. I love Jethro Tull, but I've not listened to the Christmas album.
Yeah, we'll tell you all about it on Wednesday. We'll give actually on Christmas you can tune in and watch that. This Wednesday it's Gordon Lightfoot, and I've never heard a Gordon Lightfoot song in my life, so I'm about to, as this wraps up, I'm about to get my notepad and sit down with the record.
of the Edmund Fitzgerald? Is that
That's
what
right.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's a good
And
song.
I don't know any of his stuff, so I will become more of an expert coming up. So yeah, that we do that every Wednesday, every Saturday morning. You can tune in here. Please please subscribe. We're trying to grow the YouTube channel. First goal for the year is 100. We're at 83. So help us keep growing. And yeah, tune in. Tell us if we're right. Tell us if we're wrong. If we're talking about the Christmas music or the next 2 albums. And then we're going to go into the next batch of 4. And we do take requests, but they have to be an album that we haven't heard before. So if we've heard it, like the U2 one, I know that album, so it wouldn't work. So finding New Year's songs that we don't know the full album of is the trick of it. And yeah, we'll be looking for that. So we do have, I think one of the suggestions is a Taylor Swift album. So Dash and I will be tackling Taylor Swift and hopefully not pissing off Swifties. Although I don't know if the Swifties would even know we exist. So I think we'll be fine. And then next year, January, Immortal Era 10.
Yeah, I think we'll be
and
fine.
then we'll have, let's see, Dracula, Sherlock Holmes will be coming out next year. We'll be releasing my new one-shot floaters that I'm working with Dan Schmidt with art on. And then I'm trying to think. More Immortal Era, of course, we're already done with the art of it up to issue 12. So there should be 3 Immortal Era issues dropping next year. So I might be able to keep up with John next year since the art's done. Now it's just every few months dropping a new Kickstarter because I like losing money too.
Yeah.
Can't
take it with you to the grave, Ed. Might as well.
There you go. You can take those comic books. They can drop them in they can drop them in that casket.
And they will.
Hey, you know what? Wrote comics no one read. Dropping casket. Moving along.
Casket.
All right. Well,
Thanks,
thank
everybody.
you all for coming today. Thanks for taking on Christmas music. Check out all their stuff. There's a lot of great stuff out there. And we will see you actually in 2 weeks because next week is my birthday and I will not be doing a live stream. So I'll be lamenting the fact that I'm turning 50. So
Happy birthday.
all right. Thank you. And have a great weekend. And we will see you on Wednesday
Happy
talking
birthday.
about Gordon Lightfoot.